3 completely different apartments, 3 strangers. Within just a few months, they said goodbye in almost exactly the same way. Sealed windows, tape-sealed cracks, a charcoal stove burned out. In the center of the room, all the evidence pointed to one conclusion: suicide. But was it really that perfect? Police found traces of the same woman in all 3 victims' phones and computers. She had different names, different identities, yet shared the same bank account. When her photo was finally released, everyone following the case fell into complete shock and confusion. Why would these successful, experienced men become obsessed with someone so ordinary in appearance? What kind of magic did she cast? How were those seemingly perfect suicide scenes planned so flawlessly? Today's story: the Heisei poison woman, Kané Kidzima. The 6th of August, 2009. Noda City. That day, a 1-year-old man named Takao Terada was found dead in his apartment. The scene was extremely bizarre. Takao was lying on his bed, a charcoal stove in the room. The charcoal had burned out completely. All window and door cracks were carefully sealed with tape from the inside. All evidence pointed to one conclusion: suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning. Police's initial assessment was indeed suicide. A middle-aged man, perhaps due to work stress, perhaps due to relationship issues, chose to end his life by burning charcoal. This wasn't particularly unusual in Japan, but the case quickly took a turn. When Takao's family was organizing his belongings, they discovered unusual clues. They found his computer, and in his browser, history, and emails, they discovered a frequently appearing name, a woman with the username Sakura Yoshikawa. The emails showed that Takao and Sakura Yoshikawa were in a serious relationship, even at the point of discussing marriage. Before his suicide, he had just transferred a large sum of his savings, over 8 million yen, to this woman's account. After his death, the woman simply vanished, like she never existed. A man preparing for marriage. Why would he suddenly commit suicide? What explanation is there for the money transferred to his girlfriend? Takao's family couldn't accept any of this. They strongly demanded. Police reopened the investigation. They believed this was no ordinary suicide case. Police felt the pressure and sensed something unusual about the case. They decided to start by investigating this mysterious Sakura Yoshikawa. While police were pursuing Sakura Yoshikawa, just 10 days later, August 16th, in a high-end apartment in Shinagawa, Tokyo, another murder occurred. The victim this time was a 53-year-old man named Kenzo Ando. He was a senior employee at Tokyo's Ota market, had stable income, lived a respectable life. His colleague discovered him because Ando hadn't shown up for work and couldn't be reached. When they broke down the door, the scene was shocking. Ando was lying on the floor, dead for some time. The scene was almost an exact copy of Takao's death scene. Sealed windows, tape sealing the door, a charcoal stove burned out, another charcoal suicide. Police immediately realized the gravity of the situation. This was too much of a coincidence. 2 middle-aged men, similar timeline, almost identical methods. The investigators were almost certain there had to be a connection. They quickly searched Ando's residence. Sure enough, they found a woman he was closely communicating with online. This woman's username was Orange. When police compared the information on Sakura Yoshikawa and Orange, a chilling truth emerged. These 2 different online identities pointed to the same woman. In real life, Kané Kidzima. This name officially entered police's radar for the first time, but everyone had a strong intuition. She was absolutely the core connection between these 2 deaths. As police began digging deeper into her background and whereabouts, they discovered her hunting ground was far wider than they imagined. Going back further in time, on May 15th, in Ichikawa, Chiba, an 80-year-old man named Yoshiyuki Oid, was found dead in his home. The cause of death was, you guessed it, carbon monoxide poisoning. The scene also had a charcoal stove, window, and door seals. At that time, it was also ruled as an accident or suicide. Yoshiyuki Oid was a retired man with considerable assets. He too had been close with a middle-aged woman he met online. This woman claimed to be his future wife. Before Oid's death, she had also obtained large sums of money from him. It didn't take much investigation for police to determine this woman was also Kané Kidzima, just under a different alias. From May to August, over 3 months, 3 men died the same way, all connected to the same woman. All transferred her large sums of money before their deaths. Now no one believed these were suicides or accidents. This was definitely a series of planned, premeditated murders. The 25th of September 2009, police arrested Kané Kidzima on charges of fraud and murder. When her photo was released to the media, all of Japanese society was in an uproar, because in cases like this, the woman shouldn't be so ordinary. You'd expect someone beautiful, using her looks to manipulate men. But this woman, there was nothing about her that suggested she could commit such crimes. But regardless of what people believed, this was the reality. She was the beauty who led 3 men to their deaths. The massive contrast made this case the focus of street corner conversations. Everyone asked the same question. How did she do it? To understand Yoshinao's magic, we must step outside the linear narrative and deep into the special world she created. Kané Kidzima was born in Hokkaido in 1974. Her family background was unhappy. Her father was violent. This perhaps planted seeds of twisted understanding about relationships and financial security. In her young mind, she showed talent early on for pleasing others, especially older men, but she didn't win through beauty. Her weapon was something else, a masterful supply of emotional value, targeted specifically at certain people. She precisely identified her target customers. She didn't go after young, thrill-seeking men. Her prey was primarily middle-aged to elderly men, usually between 40 and 80 years old, with stable income and savings, but emotionally empty in their daily lives, lacking female attention, even somewhat insecure. Many were so-called otaku, or men who had failed repeatedly in romance, lacking confidence in their own appeal. In their real relationships, they often felt ignored and rejected. Their hearts held a massive emotional void. Kané Kidzima was like a master hunter who precisely found her prey's weakness. She was active on major dating websites and forums, using different aliases. She carefully crafted her personas. Sakura Yoshikawa, a piano teacher with a tragic background, yearning for family warmth. Orange, a woman running a high-end clothing store with refined taste, seeking a soulmate, plus other aliases, but all with the same core image. She portrayed herself as a gentle, caring, understanding, and devoted, traditional good woman who loved cooking and housework. She would engage with her targets online for extended, deep conversations. Her emails and messages were full of tender care and emotional resonance. She would patiently listen to their worries, offer warm encouragement and compliments. For these men, emotionally starved in reality, it was the first time they felt understood, needed, and respected. She might say, "You must work so hard. Take care of your health. Chatting with you makes me so happy. I think you're different from other men, more mature, more thoughtful." These words might seem ordinary to us, but for men living in emotional deserts, these words were like rain after a long drought. Through her words, Yoshinao built them a perfect, tender dream world. When their online connection warmed to a certain level, she would agree to meet in person. Here comes a critical point. She would actively suggest meeting at his place, and she would bring carefully prepared, home-cooked meals. This was the masterful stroke in her kill plan. She understood well the old saying, to win a man's heart, first win his stomach. Her cooking skills were excellent. The home-cooked meals she brought perfectly matched the good wife and mother image she'd built. This greatly lowered his guard and transformed the goodwill from the virtual world into something real on his taste buds. During their dates, she appeared shy and conservative, emphasized that she was serious, dating with marriage as the goal. This further catered to men yearning for stable family life. She would allow intimate moments, but cleverly set boundaries, maintaining an air of desirable yet untouchable mystery and purity. In this way, through online emotional comfort, plus offline food offensive, plus wife material image reinforcement, Yoshinao successfully made man after man completely fall for her. They believed they had found their destined soulmate, a woman so ordinary in appearance, yet showing such inner beauty, even made some victims feel lucky. Thinking they'd found a treasure, once trust was established and their relationship solidified, Yoshinao would begin her true purpose, getting money. Her excuses were endless and all highly convincing. My mother is sick. I need surgery money. I want to open a small shop to build a future for us. I need money to study advanced cooking techniques so I can better take care of you. For men already trapped in love's web, money was no longer just money. It was investment in their relationship, the currency to exchange for future happiness, a way to prove they could protect their love. They were generous with their money, giving whatever she asked for. Takao, Kenzo, Yoshiyuki all fell into the same pattern. The money was in her hands, but Yoshinao's script still had one final act. As their relationship deepened, he might demand more that she couldn't fulfill, like meeting his family or getting married, or when his savings were nearly exhausted, the relationship lost its use. So how could she exit gracefully? Yoshinao's answer was simple. Make this person completely disappear. Now we return to the core of the case, the most chilling part, murder. After arresting Yoshinao, police faced their biggest challenge, evidence. All three crime scenes were perfectly staged, looking like suicide or accident. No forced entry, no signs of struggle, no injuries. Initial toxicology tests showed no poison residue. Yoshinao had a perfect alibi. She was always with someone else right before and after the deaths, or on her way to her next target. How did she complete this impossible task? Through careful investigation and reasoning, police gradually pieced together her murder method, all of it still built on the gentle and caring persona she'd created. Picture this scene: a quiet evening. Yoshinao arrives at the victim's home. They share a delicious dinner she prepared. The mood is pleasant, warm, and intimate. After dinner, she thoughtfully prepares his bath, or suggests having some alcohol to set the mood. Under the effects of food, alcohol, and psychological relaxation, the victim likely felt drowsy. This is when Yoshinao takes out pre-prepared sleeping pills. She mixes them into food, drinks, or so-called nutritional supplements, and persuades him to take them. This is the most critical step in her murder plan. She doesn't need violence. She uses care. You've been so tired lately. Take some medicine and get some good sleep. Completely unaware, under the tender gaze of his lover, he takes the drug that will send him into deep unconsciousness. Once the victim completely loses consciousness, Yoshinao's stage finally opens. She calmly begins setting up the scene. She takes out the portable charcoal stove and charcoal she brought, lights them in the center of the room. Then, with pre-prepared tape, she carefully seals all window and door cracks, ensuring carbon monoxide cannot escape. Once done, she cleans up every trace she was ever there, including glasses, dishes, even fingerprints. Then, like a craftsman, finishing his work, she calmly leaves the scene, off to her next date. In that sealed room, the deeply unconscious victim, in his sleep, inhales excessive carbon monoxide, silently slips toward death. Days later, when discovered, the scene looks like a perfect suicide. A troubled man, burning charcoal alone at home, accidentally poisoned. It makes complete, logical sense. She used sleeping pills to eliminate the problem of resistance. She used charcoal to create the perfect death cover-up. She used tape to reinforce suicide intent. She used time gaps to create a perfect alibi. The entire process was cold, efficient, cruel, no violent struggle, no bloody scene, just a cold, procedural, indifferent disposal of a human life, as if it were just an object. As the investigation deepened, police discovered Yoshinao's victims likely far exceeded 3. The evidence chain became more complete. In their autopsies, while common poisons weren't detected, in some cases, blood tests revealed trace amounts of sedative compounds. This was the sharpest blade, piercing her suicide lie. Meanwhile, police's investigation into her financial flows revealed an even more shocking fact. In just a few years, through this marriage fraud, she had conned tens of men and stolen over 100 million yen. She used this money to fund her lavish lifestyle, buying designer clothes and bags, enjoying high-end restaurants and hotels, while also supporting her other lovers. Yes, you heard right. Yoshinao had multiple boyfriends. She was like a complex money laundering operation, extracting cash from older men to satisfy herself and her younger lovers. This complex web of relationships made her seem like a coldly calculated manipulator living in the real world. Yoshinao's arrest was just the beginning of a long legal battle. Her trial lasted years, full of dramatic twists and turns. In court, Yoshinao consistently pleaded not guilty. She admitted to fraud, but completely denied all murder charges. Her defense strategy was clear: stick to police's initial assessment. All victims committed suicide. Her arguments also showed her deep understanding of human nature. She said the men gave her money out of love and willingly. They committed suicide because after dating her, they discovered she had other boyfriends, felt betrayed, their feelings were hurt, fell into despair, and so chose to end their lives. She painted herself as a bad woman, juggling multiple men, but absolutely not a murderer. She even started writing a blog while in prison, her writing delicate and engaging, drawing many supporters. Many were women who believed Yoshinao was a hero resisting patriarchy. Using her intelligence to extract benefits from men, this division in public opinion made the case even more complex. However, the prosecution had prepared solid evidence, while they lacked direct eyewitness accounts or video of the murders. Strong circumstantial evidence tightened like nooses. Multiple men, same way they met, same relationship pattern, same method of death. After death, Yoshinao vanished immediately. This high level of repetition ruled out coincidence. Sedative compounds in victims' bodies matched the type of drugs Yoshinao had previously purchased. Investigation found she'd bought the exact same brand of charcoal stove and tape found at the scenes. Each death occurred shortly after. Large sums were transferred to her account. This provided clear criminal motive. Faced with solid evidence, Yoshinao's defense became increasingly weak. After a long trial, in 2012, the Tokyo District Court sentenced her to death. In the first trial, she appealed, but with irrefutable evidence, her appeals were rejected, one after another. In 2017, Japan's Supreme Court finally upheld the death sentence. Kané Kidzima was legally defined as a serial killer. However, even after the death sentence was finalized, she never stopped her activities. She continued writing in prison, even married a male fan in his 60 seconds, triggering another wave of public controversy. Until 2023, she was finally executed. This Heisei poison woman, who captivated Japanese society for over a decade, finally completed her controversial life. Yoshinao's story ends here, but the questions it raises are far from over. We can certainly condemn Yoshinao's cruelty and coldness. Her actions were unforgivable crimes, no matter how you look at it. But if we only focus on investigating the witch, we might miss the deepest part of this case. The most important warning: Yoshinao's success didn't come from clever tactics. It came from precisely striking the emotional vulnerabilities of modern society. Her victims were ordinary people, struggling in the workplace. They had respectable jobs and income, but in the emotional world, they were deserts. They yearned to be loved, to be understood, to have a warm home. This yearning itself was not wrong. What was wrong was Yoshinao exploited it. She disguised herself as the cure for all these desires, when in reality, what she handed them was a poisoned chalice. Well, that's where we'll leave Yoshinao's story today. If you have your own thoughts about this case or know similar stories, feel free to comment below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.